there's an audition. They've been looking for a guy. They called me, and again, I wasn't available. I was in Barbados vacationing when they first called. And then they called again. And they said, it's for this thing called Total Recall. And the director by Paul Verhoeven. I didn't know, and they didn't mention Arnold. So the day before I had this Total Recall audition, I auditioned for a Sylvester Stallone movie. It was the worst. It was the worst in stereotypical black character. I couldn't. I forget the name of it. The next day, I do it. So I went back and I had they sent me the whole Total Recall script. And I go reading it, and I'm reading it, and it gets up to my part, and it says, Benny, black jivester. That's what it said. And I went, and I took the script and I threw it across the room. I literally did. I went, but I got to audition for this thing. Let me see what's going on. And I started reading this, and I went, what? I said, this is great. I mean, this is great. And this was at a time, and my acting teacher was Harry Mastro George, famous. First day of class, I go in there. Who's the first one there? Ray Liotta. I mean, and then Melanie Griffith comes out. I mean, it was a great class. Mm-hmm. And he goes, when you audition, always carry a script. Let people know, even if you know it, let them know that this is an audition. So I go in for the audition. It is just Paul Verhoeven, Mike Fender, the casting director, did whatever isn't really big. Just the three of us. I still didn't know who. I didn't know he directed RoboCop. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything. But I was into this Benny guy. So it went well. He goes, can you come back for a screen test? I loved back then screen tests. But it was in the office, and basically Verhoeven was working the camera. Mm. And it was still Mike Fender. He was the reader for it. There's the three of us in the room. But in the interim, I found out that he directed RoboCop and that Arnold Schwarzenegger was starring in it. Mm. But I was in the midst of class and, blocking all of that out, and I got in there and we started doing it, and we were seated and the camera was on a tripod and he was working it. And I got into it, and I jumped out of my seat, and he goes, oh, hold on. He goes, what you're doing is going to be great for our film. Just like that. I said, ooh, our film. You hear that sort of stuff. So it went great. And as you know, with film, as with this last thing I did, the last series, you hear quickly. Yeah. I heard nothing. And I am not one to call my agent and say, will you find out what's going on? I let it go. I really don't. If I call, it's either because I did a disastrous thing and he needs to apologize for, the horrible job I did. I only did that once. But otherwise, I let it go. But I had such a good experience. And 3 weeks had gone by. I called my agent. I said, listen, I never do this. Could you find out what happened? And she calls me back, and she goes, oh, there's an offer pending. I went, oh, really? So I get the job, and I am on the plane flying to Mexico City, because that's where we shot the film. The whole thing was shot in Mexico City. So I'm sitting on an aisle, excited to go. I've never shot a day. I'm sitting on the aisle going there. And these two teenage girls walk down the aisle. And they see me sitting there. And they go, oh, you're playing Benny. And I went, yeah. And they went, we're Paul Verhoeven's daughters. We're the director's daughter. And we picked you. Oh. I went, what? And what it was is he showed his daughters all of his things. And because that was the audience he was trying to get, and she went, And they went, we picked you. And I tell young actors, I said, you never know who is in control of your career.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I ended up in Total Recall.
And that was a great role too.
It was a great role. We had a great time. And our business is so, you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what the film's like. You can never tell when you're making it, whether it's going to be great or the play is going to be great. I thought The Rink was going to be John Kander and Ed, they wrote Cabaret, New York, New York, I thought it was got Cheetah Liza, they were fantastic. We got destroyed, the reviewers hated Liza. So I'm doing Total Recall, and I'm having a blast. It was the first big budget movie I'm doing. We're in, and everything was real. It was no CGI. So my arm was real. I had never broken a limb, so I had to be in a whole half body cast. It was great. Arnold was fabulous. He was, and I had all my stuff with him. So if he was going to be a pain, it would have been very difficult. He was great, very brilliant. That's how he became governor. Funny. He used to pull pranks. Oh my God, it was great. We had some fun. And it was this incredible learning experience. So we shot it in sequence, which you just don't do. So it felt like you were doing a play, because it literally, they did Mars, the first part, and then the whole film was shot in sequence. We were jumping around so much on The Terror, this last thing that I did. I was going, I was looking, trying to say, but this was in sequence. So we get out there, so the first day is, hey man, you need a cab? Da-da-da. So I really didn't understand the concept of wide shot, two shot. So we do the wide shot, and then we do the two shot. And just like you, I just started needing reading glasses at that time. So we're doing the thing, and I am up Arnold, and they say action. I moved back because he was a little blurry. Cut, Mel, you need to get closer to Arnold. I went, oh, okay. So we sit there, and they say action. I move slightly back. Cut. Because, theater, you could be on the other side of the stage.
Yeah.
So, cut. Mel, you need to be a little closer to actor. Arnold. I went, oh my God. So I get there, action. I went just like this. Cut. And Arnold goes, man, if you want to be in the movie, you have to stay close to me. The camera's going to be on me. I said, got it. Up in his face. We had that guy. He disarmed everybody. It was just charming. He threw a We're Almost Halfway There party, this huge party for everybody. Every Monday was movie night. He organized it. They had a big theater in which he would show a Verhoeven movie, a Dutch movie, and Paul would talk about it. We did these great things. And there was a production snafu. I went down, but I went down too early to Mexico City, and they had to fly me back. I had gotten rid of my house I had rented. I had put my car in storage. They had to get my car. I said, somebody lost their job. So I come back, and then I go down, and even when I went back for 2 weeks, I didn't shoot. Something was going on. So I had this car, the space car, that was actually a Volkswagen that you sat in it. It was a clutch. It was a whole 9 yards, the chassis, and then they built this futuristic car, a Mars cab. But both steering wheels worked. And so I just said, I had access to the car, so I just drove it around because we took over the entire Churubusco studios. So when I'm driving in those tunnels, they constructed these tunnels between the sound stages, and you would drive through. So I learned how to drive that car. And we had a big scene. When something blew up, it was real. I was scared to death, you know, those explosions, that's a whole other thing. But whenever there was a big stunt, everybody would go watch it. So there was this big scene where the cab crashes through this club and we jump out and we start running. They had a stunt driver. But the stunt driver flew down the night before, got in that cab, and there were only 3 cabs. He gets in the cab, we're all watching the stunt. Because we're supposed to, this thing we called it a mole, this thing's supposed to drill. And he's supposed to just miss it and keep going. So, and he's the stunt driver, and there's Arnold's stunt double in the back. So he goes, crash, he crashes the car. 1 car down. And we all go, oof. And then the second car, guy goes, he crashes the car because he doesn't realize that when you want to turn this car, you have to go to 1 wheel. I had learned that, and then really turn it. Otherwise, it's not turning enough. So 2 cars are gone. They are flipping out. And I go, you know, I can drive that cab. I won't miss it. I won't, And they all look, and they only have 1 cab left. And they go, okay. So I get into the cab, and then Arnold's stunt double is about to get in the cab. And Arnold goes, oh no, if Mev is going to drive, I'm getting in the cab. And then he goes, and everybody's going, I starts getting in the cab. And Nell's going to crash his car. And we got up there, we did it, and I went, just like that, everybody went applauding, and we did it over and over again. So yeah, it was a great time. But I still didn't know what we had until the film opened and it turned into what it did, you know.
A huge success.
One of my favorite adventure films.
Yeah, and it has become, because everything was, there's only one CGI thing, is when they went through the X-ray machine and they had that fake little skeleton. But the eyes bulging, Quado, that was all real stuff. And it was fun. You know, it was the 3-breasted women.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it came in my mind the
No,
whole time.
here's the whole thing. We would, just like you're going like this, I'd be at a state fair, I was going to in Connecticut, and these kids would come over. Oh, they'd see me in Puerto Rico. Oh, Puerto Rico, it was this, that. Was it real or? And then one kid would have the nerve to say, "Were the 3 breasts real?" And they all, that's the questions they wanted. And what they did is they got a rather flat girl, and they built those 3 breasts. And Rob Bottin got a Special Academy Award for all of his effects because they were just so real.
Yeah.
Especially at that time, Quado's lips moving, and it looking like he's really talking. That's CGI today. That was my arm. There were 7 guys behind me going, zzz, 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 zzz. I mean, and it was great. So, yeah, it was quite the experience. And I was down there for